What if breaking up with someone didn't just end a relationship but threw you headfirst into a forbidden connection with their own brother? Not some fleeting crush, but a pull so intense it felt like the universe was daring you to cross every line you'd ever drawn. That's exactly what happened to me after I walked away from Sarah, thinking I'd slammed the door shut on that chapter of my life. I thought I was done, free, ready to move on. But I was so wrong. Her brother, Ethan, wasn't just the guy I saw at family dinners or the occasional holiday gathering. He became this spark that ignited a fire I didn't know I had in me. Every glance we shared was like a secret we were both keeping, a betrayal not just of Sarah, but of everything I tried to leave behind. It started small, almost too subtle to notice at first. A family barbecue I couldn't get out of, his hand brushing mine as he handed me a cold beer, a laugh that lingered just a fraction too long, like we were both caught off guard by it. Those moments piled up, each one heavier, more charged, until I was drowning in something I couldn't even put a name to. Ethan wasn't just Sarah's brother, he was the one person who knew her as well as I did, who'd seen the same fights, the same flaws, the same reasons we fell apart. And somehow, that made it so much worse. Wanting him wasn't just betraying Sarah all over again, it was betraying her entire world, her family, her trust, the life we'd all shared. I tried to fight it, God, I tried so hard. Every time I saw him at a mutual friend's party, a random run-in at a coffee shop, the air between us crackled, like static before a storm. One look from him, and I was right back in that dangerous place, my heart pounding, guilt clawing at my chest like it was trying to break free. What do you do when the one person you're not supposed to want is the only one you can't stop thinking about? Stick with me, because this isn't just a story about desire, it's about loyalty, heartbreak, and the kind of secrets that can tear apart everything you thought you knew about yourself. Let's go back to where it all started. I'm Alex, 28, just another guy trying to piece my life together after a breakup that left me hollowed out. Sarah and I had been together for 3 years, the kind of love that starts with late-night talks and wild promises but ends in shouting matches and long, suffocating silences. We were young, reckless, head over heels until we weren't. The fights got uglier, the distance between us grew, and by the end, we were like strangers sharing a bed, tiptoeing around each other's wounds. When we finally called it quits, I thought that was the end of it. A clean break, a chance to start over, to find myself again. But life has a way of laughing at your plans, doesn't it? Sarah's family had been my family for those 3 years. Her parents treated me like a son, inviting me to Thanksgiving dinners and summer barbecues. Her cousins were my drinking buddies, always up for a night out. And her brother, Ethan, was just there. Always around, quiet but steady, the kind of guy who didn't say much but always seemed to understand you. He was 30, a couple years older than Sarah, with this calm intensity that made you feel like he saw more than he let on. Back when Sarah and I were together, Ethan was just her brother, someone I'd joke with over a couple of beers, someone who'd give me a knowing look when Sarah and I got into one of our pointless arguments. I never thought twice about him. Not then. After the breakup, I tried to cut ties, not because I hated Sarah, but because staying close felt like picking at a scab. I moved out of our shared apartment, found a small place of my own, started piecing together a new life. But Sarah and I had too many mutual friends, too many overlapping circles that kept pulling me back in. I'd run into her at parties, see her posts pop up on my feed, hear her name in passing like a ghost I couldn't shake. And every time, Ethan was there too, not loud or showy, but always in the background, his eyes catching mine in a way that started to feel different. At first, it was just awkward small talk, nods across a room, quick chats about work or the weather. But then something shifted, subtle but undeniable. It was a barbecue at Sarah's parents' house, 6 months after the breakup. I only went because a friend guilted me into it, saying it'd look weird if I bailed. Sarah was there, all smiles, acting like we'd never torn each other's hearts out. I kept my distance, nursing a beer by the grill, trying to blend into the chaos of the day. Then Ethan walked over. "You surviving?" he asked, his voice low, a half-smile tugging at his lips. It was such a simple question, but the way he looked at me like he knew exactly how hard it was to stand there, surrounded by her family, hit me deep in my chest. We talked for a while, longer than we ever had before, about nothing important but somehow everything that mattered. His hand brushed mine when he handed me another drink, and I felt it, a jolt, like a spark that wouldn't fade. That moment stuck with me, replaying in my head long after I left. I started noticing him more at gatherings, the way his laugh cut through the noise, the way his eyes found mine across a crowded room, lingering just a second too long. I told myself it was nothing, just my brain looking for a distraction from the breakup. But the more I saw him, the harder it was to convince myself. Ethan wasn't just Sarah's brother anymore. He was something else, something dangerous, and I was already falling. The tension between Ethan and me grew like a wildfire, slow at first but impossible to contain. It wasn't one big moment that did it, it was 100 little ones, each one piling up until they were all I could think about. A mutual friend's birthday party where we ended up on the same couch, our knees brushing as we laughed about some stupid movie we'd both seen. A late-night group hang where he offered to walk me to my car, his hand lingering on my shoulder, his touch warm and steady in a way that made my pulse race. Every interaction was charged, like we were both holding our breath, waiting for the other to make a move we couldn't take back. Sarah was the shadow hanging over it all. She wasn't my girlfriend anymore, but she was still there, woven into every memory, every shared friend, every family event I couldn't avoid. I'd see her at these gatherings, laughing with some new guy, and I'd feel this twisted mix of relief and guilt. Relief because she was moving on, guilt because I was too, but in the worst possible way. Ethan and I never talked about it, not directly, but it was there in the way we skirted around her name, in the way our conversations danced around the truth like we were afraid to touch it. The first real spark came at a friend's wedding. Sarah was a bridesmaid, all dolled up in a dress that reminded me of the girl I used to love. I was just another guest, trying to blend into the crowd, but Ethan was there too, in a suit that made him look sharper than I was prepared for. We ended up at the bar, both a little tipsy, trading stories about the old days when things were simpler. "You ever miss her?" he asked, his voice quiet, his eyes searching mine like he was looking for something I wasn't ready to give. I froze, because the truth was I didn't, not the way I should have. I shook my head, and he nodded, like he understood something I hadn't even said out loud. That night, as we stood outside in the cool air, away from the noise of the reception, he leaned closer, his breath warm against my ear. "You're not the only one who's confused," he whispered. My heart stopped, my whole body humming with something I couldn't name. He didn't say more, but he didn't need to. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just in my head. After that, it was like we were magnets, drawn together no matter how hard we tried to stay apart. We'd find excuses to talk, texting about some random band we both liked, grabbing coffee when we knew Sarah wouldn't be around, meeting up at quiet spots where our friends wouldn't see us. Every conversation felt like a tightrope walk, teetering between innocent and reckless, every word pulling us closer to something we couldn't undo. I'd catch myself staring at him, memorizing the way his jaw tightened when he laughed, the way his voice softened when he said my name, like it was something precious. But the guilt was always there, gnawing at me, a constant reminder of what I was risking. Sarah didn't deserve this. Neither did Ethan's family, who'd welcomed me into their lives, trusted me like I was one of their own. Here I was, falling for the one person who could blow it all up, and I couldn't stop myself. Then came the night that pushed us over the edge. It was a group camping trip, one of those chaotic, last-minute plans with too many people and not enough tents. Sarah was there, but distracted, flirting with some new guy she'd brought along. Ethan and I ended up sharing a fire, passing a flask back and forth, the rest of the group fading into the background as the night grew darker. The air was cold, but sitting next to him felt like sitting too close to a flame, warm and dangerous. "You ever feel like you're breaking all the rules?" he asked, his voice low, his eyes locked on mine in a way that made my heart pound. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "Every day," I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. He reached for my hand, his fingers curling around mine, warm and steady, and for a moment, it was just us, no Sarah, no guilt, no consequences. We didn't kiss, but we didn't need to. That touch said everything, held every unspoken word we'd been carrying. When Sarah stumbled over, laughing and oblivious, we pulled apart, but the damage was done. I saw it in Ethan's eyes, the same guilt, the same want, the same fear of what we were becoming. After that night, things spiraled out of control. We stopped pretending it was just friendly. Texts turned into late-night calls, calls turned into secret meetups, each one pushing us closer to a line we knew we couldn't uncross. I'd lie awake at night, replaying every moment, his smile, his touch, the way his voice cracked when he talked about something real. I hated myself for wanting him, for letting this thing grow between us, but I couldn't stop. The betrayal wasn't just about Sarah anymore, it was about Ethan, too, about the family we were both tied to, about the life we'd all built together over years of shared memories. The deeper I fell for Ethan, the messier it got, like a knot we couldn't untangle no matter how hard we tried. We were careful, or at least we thought we were. No one could know, not Sarah, not our friends, not his parents, who still invited me over for Sunday dinners like I was still part of the family. But keeping it secret only made it more intense, like every stolen moment was a rebellion against the rules we were breaking. I'd see him at a bar with mutual friends, and we'd play it cool, laughing and joking like nothing was wrong, but our eyes would meet across the room, and it was like the rest of the world disappeared. Ethan started opening up in ways I didn't expect, peeling back layers I hadn't seen before. One night, sitting on my couch after everyone else had left, he talked about growing up with Sarah, how he always felt like he was in her shadow, how he'd spent his whole life trying to be the steady one, the one who didn't make waves. "You get me," he said, his voice raw, his eyes locked on mine. "You see me, not just her brother." Those words hit me like a punch, because I did see him more than I wanted to admit, more than I knew how to handle. But every step closer to him felt like a step away from the person I thought I was, the person who valued loyalty, who wouldn't hurt the people he cared about. Sarah started to notice something was off, even if she didn't know the full truth. She'd ask pointed questions, why I was still so close with her family, why I showed up to every event Ethan was at. "You're not still hung up on me, are you?" she'd say with a laugh, but there was an edge to it, a suspicion that made my stomach twist. I'd brush it off, force a smile, but inside, I was panicking, terrified she'd see through me. Ethan and I tried to pull back, to set boundaries, to do the right thing. We'd agree to keep things platonic, to stop texting so much, to avoid being alone together. But it was like trying to stop a train barreling down the tracks. We'd end up alone somewhere, his car, a quiet corner of a coffee shop, talking until 3 a.m., our hands inches apart, the air thick with everything we weren't saying. Every moment felt like a countdown to something inevitable, something we couldn't avoid no matter how hard we tried. The breaking point came at a New Year's Eve party, one of those chaotic nights where half our friends were packed into a loft downtown, champagne flowing, music blaring. Sarah was there, Ethan was there, and the tension between us was like a live wire. As the countdown to midnight started, the room buzzed with energy, but all I could see was Ethan across the room, his eyes locked on mine. When the clock hit 0, everyone cheered, but we just stood there, frozen, like we were in our own world, separate from the chaos. Later, when the party spilled onto the rooftop, he pulled me aside, away from the crowd. "I can't do this anymore," he said, his voice breaking, his hands trembling as he reached for me. "I can't keep pretending I don't want you." My heart was racing, my mind screaming to stop, but before I could say anything, Sarah's voice cut through the night, calling for him. We stepped back, the moment shattered, but it was too late. Something had shifted, and there was no going back. After that night, we stopped fighting it. We started sneaking around, late-night drives to the edge of town, quiet bars where no one knew us, stolen moments in places we thought were safe. Every kiss was a rush, every touch a reminder of what we were risking, but it was like we were addicted to the danger, to the thrill of it. But the guilt was a shadow that followed us everywhere. I'd see Sarah's name pop up on my phone, and my stomach would drop, dread pooling in my chest. Ethan would talk about his parents, how they'd never understand, how this would tear their family apart. We were trapped in this cycle of wanting and regretting, knowing we were hurting people we cared about but unable to stop ourselves. Then came the night it all fell apart. Sarah invited me to a family dinner, saying it'd be like old times, a chance to catch up. I didn't want to go, didn't want to sit through hours of pretending, but Ethan convinced me, saying we could handle it, that we were strong enough to keep it together. The whole night was torture, sitting across from him at the dinner table, pretending we were just friends, while Sarah's parents reminisced about the days when she and I were together, laughing about memories that felt like they belonged to someone else. After dinner, Ethan and I ended up alone in the backyard, the air heavy with summer heat, the stars bright above us. "This is killing me," he said, his voice low, his hand brushing mine, sending a shiver through me. Before I could stop myself, I kissed him hard, desperate, like it could drown out the guilt, the fear, the world. It was everything I'd been craving, everything I'd been fighting. But then Sarah's voice cut through the darkness, sharp and cold. "What the hell is this?" She'd seen us. The look on her face, shock, betrayal, disgust, burned into me like a brand. She didn't say another word, just turned and walked away, leaving us standing there, the weight of what we'd done crushing us. That moment broke everything. Sarah didn't tell her family, didn't scream or make a scene, but she didn't need to. The silence was worse, a cold, heavy void where our friendship used to be. She cut me out completely, no texts, no calls, no trace of the years we'd spent together. Ethan tried to talk to her, to explain, but she wouldn't hear it. He told me she called him a traitor, said he'd ruined everything, that he'd chosen me over their family. His parents started asking questions, picking up on the tension, the way Sarah wouldn't look at either of us. The guilt consumed us both, a constant weight that made every moment we stole together feel tainted, like we were stealing from people who didn't deserve it. We tried to keep going, to hold on to what we had, to convince ourselves it was worth it. But every touch felt heavy, every kiss a reminder of the cost, of Sarah's pain, of the family we were fracturing. A month later, Ethan made a choice that broke me. He sat me down, his eyes red, his voice cracking. "I love you," he said, and those words should have been everything, but they weren't. "But I can't keep doing this to them. To Sarah. To my parents. I can't lose them." He walked away, leaving me with nothing but the ache of what could have been, the ghost of his touch lingering on my skin. I see him sometimes, at mutual friends' events, across a crowded room. Our eyes meet, and for a split second, that spark is still there, that pull that started it all. But it's buried under layers of regret, of words we'll never say, of a love we couldn't hold on to. Forbidden love doesn't just burn you, it burns everyone around you, leaves scars that don't fade. I lost Sarah, I lost Ethan, and I lost a piece of myself in the process. Would I do it again, knowing how it ends? I don't know, and that's the worst part, the not knowing, the wondering if it was worth it, if love like that is ever worth the wreckage it leaves behind. What would you do if you were me? Would you risk it all for a love that feels like fate, even if it destroys everything else in its path? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone in this mess, that someone out there gets it. If this story hit you, share it with someone who understands, someone who's felt that forbidden pull. Tag a friend who's been tangled in a love they shouldn't want. And if you've ever been caught in a mess like mine, tell me, how do you move on when your heart still wants what it can't have?